There's no one-size-fits-all approach to creating a successful fundraising strategy and plan.
People are nervous, right? It's a big deal. We're raising $10 million, even if we're raising $1 or $3 million, depending on the size of the org.
Major gift fundraising is not deadline driven. It really is probably the only type of fundraising, along with planned giving, that is not deadline driven.
AI comes on the scene that's affordable, accessible, that can provide insights and personalization at scale.
That's the first core element of this fundraising engine or funnel, is making sure that the top of your funnel, the beginning of your fundraising process, you are in front of the right people.
What do the people we serve need? And how do we open the door to help them get there?
What happens a lot of times is we get this discomfort or this fear, and our brain tells our body to stop.
We can acquire donors and we can automate everything. And that's where I worry, at least personally, around the perils of AI, that it would remove humans from the interaction.
This is the Intentional Fundraiser Podcast.
Welcome to the Intentional Fundraiser Podcast, where we dig deep, get real, and chart a path to transformational fundraising, no matter what the world throws our way. I'm your host, Tammy Zonker. Today, we're standing at a crossroads. The ground beneath us is shifting again. And if you're feeling the tremors in your fundraising efforts, you are not alone. So here's my question for you as we kick off today's episode. What do you do when the world feels uncertain and your donors seem to be pulling back? Do you freeze and wait for calmer days? Or do you step forward with intention, courage, and a plan? Today's episode is called Bold Fundraising During Tumultuous Times. We're going to unpack what's happening in our sector right now, share real-world stories, and, most importantly, give you practical strategies to not just survive, but thrive, even when the economic and political winds are swirling. So grab your coffee, your notebook, or maybe just a quiet moment for yourself, and let's get intentional about fundraising together. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the numbers. If you've been reading The Chronicle of Philanthropy or following the latest reports, you know that online giving has taken a hit since President Trump's recent tariff announcements. In fact, Zephy, a major fee-free platform, saw donations drop by a whopping 37% in just 1 week. We're talking about a fall from $29 million in 2024 to $18 million in the same week of 2025. And it's not just Zephy. DonorBox, which had been on a roll with 30% year-over-year growth, reported an 11% drop in April. But let's pause for a second. What does this mean for you, for your team, for the people and causes you serve? I want you to imagine you're steering a ship through a storm. The waves are higher, the wind is howling, and every instinct says, batten down the hatches. But here's the thing. Ships are built to sail, not to sit in harbor. And as fundraisers, we are built to lead, to adapt, and to keep moving forward, even when the skies are gray. Let's break it down. Why are we seeing this drop in online giving? Wealthier donors, those whose giving is often tied to the stock market, are feeling risk-averse. When the markets wobble, so does their confidence in making big gifts. Everyday donors are feeling the squeeze, too. With tariffs driving up the cost of essentials, food, housing, you name it, people are tightening their belts. And for nonprofits, the pressure is twofold. Budgets are stretched thinner than ever, and demand for services is spiking. Let me ask you, have you noticed this in your own organization? Maybe you've seen major donors pause their giving, or perhaps you're fielding more calls for help from your community. If so, you're in good company. These are the pain points so many of us are facing right now. Let me share a quick story. A few years back, I was working with a nonprofit that provided emergency shelter. The economy was in a downturn, donations were down, and the need for services was through the roof. The leadership team was split. Half wanted to hold off on appeals, worried about appearing insensitive, while the other half wanted to push forward. Sound familiar? Maybe you've had similar debates in your own boardroom. Here's what I've learned. Waiting for the right moment often means missing the moment altogether. Inaction is in itself a decision to step back when your mission needs you to step up. Let's break down the pain points we're all feeling. Budget squeeze. Rising costs for essentials mean your dollars don't stretch as far. Donor hesitation. Major donors, especially those with investments, may hit pause. Demand spike. More people are turning to you for help, just as resources are tightening. Internal debate. Should you hold back on appeals to avoid donor fatigue or risk seeming tone deaf by pushing ahead? I want to challenge you right now. What's your default in times of uncertainty? Are you a wait-and-see leader, or do you lean in with intention and courage? Let's get practical. Here are 5 strategies that I've seen work, not just in theory, but in the real world, with real organization facing real challenges. The first is don't decide for your donors. This one is huge. During the early days of the COVID pandemic, I saw 2 types of organizations: those who pulled back, fearing donor fatigue, and those who leaned in, making crisis appeals and engaging their supporters. Guess what? The organizations that leaned in saw revenue jump by 30%. Those that stayed silent saw a 20% drop. Here's the metaphor. Fundraising is like inviting someone to a party. If you don't send the invitation, you guarantee they won't show up. Don't take yourself out of the game by assuming your donors can't or won't give. Think about your last appeal. Did you hold back or go all in? What was the result? Jot down your answer, or better yet, share it with your team after this episode. Number 2 is prioritize stewardship and transparency. Retention is your best friend right now. Research shows that retaining just 10% more donors can boost your revenue by up to 200%. That's not a typo. 200%. How do you do it? Be transparent about your challenges. Let donors know exactly how their gifts are making a difference. When every dollar counts, every story counts too. Let me share a quick anecdote. I once worked with an organization that sent handwritten thank you notes to every donor, no matter the gift size. One donor, who had given just $10, was so moved by the personal touch that she became a monthly donor and eventually left a significant bequest. Never underestimate the power of stewardship. The third is embrace recurring giving. Monthly giving is the unsung hero of fundraising. The average monthly gift is $24, and monthly giving now accounts for 31% of all online revenue. When donors are feeling cautious, smaller, recurring gifts feel more manageable, and they give you predictable income. Think of recurring giving as planting a garden. You don't get a harvest overnight, but with consistent care, you build something sustainable and fruitful. Here's a suggestion. If you haven't already, audit your donation page. Is monthly giving front and center? Is it easy for donors to sign up? If not, make it a priority this month. Number 4 is diversify and collaborate. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Explore corporate partnerships, peer-to-peer campaigns, and grant opportunities. Joint appeals with like-minded organizations can help you reach new audiences and share the load, especially when political sensitivities make direct appeals tricky. Here's a quick case study. During a recent downturn, I worked with 2 small nonprofits serving similar populations. Instead of competing, they joined forces for a joint campaign. Not only did they raise more money, but they also attracted new donors who were inspired by their collaboration. And number 5 is invest in digital and data. Digital fundraising isn't going away. In fact, it's more important than ever. Platforms like Neon CRM, Donor Perfect, Virtuous, and DonorBox offer powerful tools for donor management, segmentation, and analytics. Use these to personalize your outreach, automate stewardship, and track what's working in real time. Think of your digital tools as your fundraising GPS. They help you navigate the twists and turns, showing you where to double down and where to pivot. A question for you. Are you using data to drive your decisions, or are you flying blind? What's one metric you could start tracking today that would help you be more intentional. Let me tell you about an organization I worked with recently. They were facing a downturn, just like so many of you. Instead of retreating, they switched to fundraise up, optimizing their donation experience and putting a big focus on monthly giving. The results? A 31% increase in monthly gifts and a 47% boost in overall online giving. The secret sauce wasn't just the technology, it was their commitment to ongoing, transparent communication and donor engagement. Here's what they did differently. They sent regular updates to donors, sharing both challenges and successes. They made monthly giving the default option on their donation page. They celebrated every milestone, no matter how small. It wasn't magic. It was intentionality, consistency, and a willingness to adapt. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. Here are 6 things you can do, starting today, to strengthen your fundraising in uncertain times. Keep asking, don't retreat. Make the ask, but do it with empathy and transparency. Promote monthly giving. Make it easy for donors to commit to smaller, recurring gifts. Show impact. Quantify the difference each donation makes, especially in inflation-adjusted terms. For example, your $50 gift now provides a week of meals for a family of 4. Leverage technology. Use data-driven platforms to personalize outreach and streamline operations. Collaborate. Partner with other organizations for joint appeals and advocacy. And stay flexible. Be ready to pivot your strategies as conditions change. If something isn't working, don't be afraid to try something new. Here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these strategies and commit to implementing it in the next 30 days. Write it down, share it with your team, and hold each other accountable. I'd love to hear how it goes. So connect with me on LinkedIn and share your story with the intentional fundraiser community. Now, let's zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture. Here are a few tactics that are working in the sector. Personalization is king. Donors expect tailored communication. Use segmentation to speak directly to their interests and motivations. Video storytelling. Short, impactful videos are driving engagement and donations, especially on social media. Peer-to-peer fundraising. Empowering your supporters to fundraise on your behalf is gaining traction, especially with younger donors. AI and automation. From chatbots to predictive analytics, technology is helping fundraisers work smarter, not harder. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all the options, remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Start with 1 or 2 strategies or tactics that align with your mission and capacity, and build from there. Let's return to our ship in a storm metaphor. When the weather gets rough, the best captains don't abandon ship. They adjust their sails, check their compass, and keep communicating with their crew. As fundraisers, our job is to do the same. Adjust your strategies as conditions change. Stay true to your mission, your North Star. Keep your team and your donors in the loop. Remember, storms don't last forever. The organizations that come through the other side are those that stay bold, stay connected, and stay intentional. Okay? Let's recap what we've covered today. Economic and political uncertainty is challenging, but not insurmountable. Don't decide for your donors. Keep inviting them to the party. Stewardship and transparency drive retention and trust. Monthly giving and recurring gifts provide stability. Diversify your revenue streams and collaborate with others. Invest in digital tools and data to guide your strategy. Stay flexible, stay bold, and keep communicating. I know these times are tough. I've been through recessions, political upheavals, and more than one fundraising crisis. What's always pulled organizations through is a willingness to adapt, communicate, and keep the faith in our missions and in our donors. So my challenge to you is don't let fear dictate your strategy. Share your experiences, ask questions, and lean on your peers. Together, we can weather this storm and maybe even come out stronger on the other side. What's working for you right now? What challenges are you facing? I'd love to hear your stories. Connect with me on LinkedIn and share your thoughts. Thank you for joining me today on the Intentional Fundraiser podcast. Remember, fundraising is a journey and you don't have to walk it alone. Keep transforming your fundraising so you can transform the world.
The Intentional Fundraiser podcast is a Fundraising Transformed original. I'm Trent Thompson, executive producer, CMO, and head of community at Fundraising Transformed and the Modern Institute for Charitable Giving. The Intentional Fundraiser podcast has been recognized by FeedSpot as one of the top 80 fundraising podcasts on the web. This recognition means so much to us, and it wouldn't be possible without your incredible support, encouragement, and thoughtful engagement. Every listen, share, and conversation has helped us grow and reach more passionate fundraisers like you. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to review and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen. For resources mentioned in this episode and to subscribe to our Scaling Major Gifts newsletter, visit fundraisingtransformed.com.